Sophie and Jensen's Adventures, written by Nana, with love. This story is dedicated to my awesome grandkids, Sophie and Jensen. Sophie adjusted her favorite banana pattern headband that her loving Gigi got her as a gift in the mirror. At 10 years old, Sophie felt like school was a little bit of a daily chore that she simply had to get through. But her natural kindness made her the most popular girl in the fourth grade. She grabbed her blue backpack and ran into the kitchen, where her 7-year-old brother Jensen was already eating breakfast. Jensen was rocking a bright orange Nike shirt, lime green shorts, and his prized blue Nike sneakers. Their mom smiled warmly, handing them each a fresh banana. "Eat up, my favorites," she said, always focused on making them feel safe, heard, and completely understood. "Hey, Jensen, what do you call a banana that likes to dance?" Sophie asked, testing out a new joke. "I don't know, Soph," Jensen grinned. "A banana split," Sophie giggled. "I have to remember to text that to Nana later." After school, which Jensen loved because he got to hang out with all his friends on the playground, the siblings rushed home. They instantly dumped their collection of Pokemon cards onto the blue living room rug. They were in the middle of a fierce battle between Charizard and Pikachu when Granddad and Nana knocked at the door. Jensen squealed with delight, abandoning his cards to play with Granddad and Nana, while Sophie laughed so hard her stomach hurt. It was a perfectly normal, happy afternoon, but everything was about to change. The next morning, a strange package arrived on the front porch, addressed to both Sophie and Jensen. Inside was a single, peculiar Pokemon card. It wasn't an ordinary card. The artwork featured a majestic blue-scaled dinosaur eating a banana, and the holographic foil shimmered in a strange pulsing rhythm. "Whoa, look at the attack name," Jensen whispered, pointing his finger at the text. "It says Prehistoric Slip-Up." Suddenly, the card began to glow a bright neon blue light. The living room walls started to vibrate, and the smell of fresh, sweet bananas filled the entire house. Mom instantly jumped in front of the kids to protect them, but the light grew too intense. The floor beneath Sophie and Jensen seemed to turn into a swirling vortex of blue energy. With a sudden pop, the world vanished around them. Sophie opened her eyes and felt soft, oversized green leaves brushing against her face. She and Jensen were sitting in the middle of a dense, vibrant jungle. But this was no ordinary forest. The trees looked like giant, towering banana plants, and massive yellow fruits hung down like chandeliers. "Soph, I don't think we're in New York anymore," Jensen said, gripping his sister's hand. "Look at the ground," Sophie gasped. The dirt was bright blue. Before they could panic, the bushes rustled violently. A massive creature stepped out into the clearing. Jensen let out a gasp. It was a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but instead of being terrifying and brown, its scales were a brilliant shade of sky blue. Even crazier, it was wearing a giant pair of Nike sneakers. They looked exactly like Jensen's favorite pair, and it was happily munching on a bunch of bananas. The giant blue T-Rex spotted the children. Instead of roaring, it let out a sound that sounded remarkably like a loud burp. "Excuse me," the T-Rex said in a surprisingly polite, booming voice. "The name is Barnaby. I usually don't see humans in the yellow jungle. Are you here for the card tournament?" Sophie, realizing the dinosaur was friendly, stepped forward bravely. "I'm Sophie, and this is my little brother Jensen. We got sucked into a magical Pokemon card. How do we get home to our mom?" Barnaby scratched his massive blue head with his tiny front arm. "Well, the portal only opens at the peak of Ice Cream Mountain, but the path is guarded by the Raptor Squad. They are terribly grumpy. The only way to get past them is to make them laugh. But my jokes are terrible." Sophie's eyes lit up. "Making people laugh is my specialty. What do you call a dinosaur that smashes everything?" Barnaby blinked. "I don't know." "A Tyrannosaurus Rex!" Sophie shouted. Barnaby burst into a booming laugh that shook the banana trees. "Perfect. Hop on my back, kids. Let's go." Jensen and Sophie climbed onto Barnaby's smooth blue back. The T-Rex sprinted through the jungle, his giant Nike sneakers thumping loudly against the blue dirt. Soon they reached a narrow stone bridge. Blocking the way, there were 3 sleek velociraptors, wearing tiny sunglasses. "None shall pass," the lead raptor hissed, "unless you can defeat us in a game of skill." The raptor whipped out a deck of giant, stone-carved Pokemon cards. "I've got this," Jensen said confidently, stepping forward. He pulled his own deck from his pocket, which had magically survived the journey. The game was intense. The Raptors played a powerful ancient card. Jensen closed his eyes and remembered his mom's encouraging words from home. "Trust your instincts, Jensen. You're capable of amazing things." Jensen smiled. He looked at Sophie, and he played his favorite shiny Blastoise card. "Hydro Pump!" Jensen cheered. The holographic energy erupted from the card, perfectly countering the Raptors' move. The Raptors dropped their stone cards in absolute shock. The Raptors were defeated, but they still refused to let the children pass across the bridge. "You won the game, but we're still too grumpy to move," the lead raptor pouted. Sophie knew it was her time to shine. She remembered the silly jokes she always shared with her Nana back home to make her smile. She stepped right up to the fiercest looking raptor. "What does Pika do when Pika eats?" Sophie said. "We don't know," said the raptors with a confused look. Sophie responded, "Pika chews!" The raptors stared at each other for a tense second. Then the lead raptor giggled. Soon, all 3 raptors were rolling on the blue dirt, laughing uncontrollably. They waved the kids through, completely helpless with laughter. Barnaby carried Sophie and Jensen up the winding path of Ice Cream Mountain. As they climbed higher, the air grew wonderfully chilly. The rocks began to look like giant chunks of chocolate, and the snow on the peaks looked exactly like vanilla ice cream. Right at the top of the mountain sat a massive, glowing chest made of solid gold. Jensen ran up to it and pushed the heavy lid open. Inside sat thousands of perfectly frozen, glowing Klondike ice cream bars, radiating a soft blue magical light. "What would you do for a Klondike bar?" Sophie joked, reciting the famous commercial. "To get home? Anything," Jensen laughed. Sophie ate the chocolate first off her Klondike bar, leaving a square of vanilla ice cream to eat last, when suddenly the shiny magical Pokemon card in Sophie's pocket began to vibrate wildly. It flew out of her hand and hovered directly over the ice cream bars. A massive beam of blue light shot up into the sky, tearing open a swirling portal right above the mountain peak. It was time to go home. Sophie and Jensen turned to Barnaby, giving the giant blue T-Rex a massive group hug around his ankle. "Thank you for helping us," Jensen said, wiping a happy tear. "Keep rocking those awesome sneakers, kid," Barnaby smiled. Sophie and Jensen each grabbed a magical Klondike bar from the chest, took a bite, and jumped together into the blue portal. With a bright flash, they tumbled right back onto their soft living room rug in New York. "Kids!" their mom cried, running into the room, wrapping them both in a massive, loving hug. She had been worried sick, but seeing them safe made her face light up with pure joy. Granddad and Nana walked in right behind her, holding a plate of fresh bananas. That evening, the family sat together on the couch. Sophie and Jensen ate their treats safely home, sharing the magical story of the jungle. Sophie grabbed her phone to text Nana her newest jokes, knowing no matter how boring school might be sometimes, she would always have the best brother, the most loving family, and the greatest adventures right at home. Nana and Granddad love you, Sophie and Jensen.